Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Flourish and Faith podcast. My name is Katarina.
And my name is Tiffany, and we are so happy to have you guys with us on this episode of Flourish and Faith. Let's do this. So today, we're going to be talking about unhealthy relationship habits. I know that I have personally done these habits before, and like any habit, it always takes time before they get developed. And what happens, unfortunately, for a lot of people is that they end up in a season of their life where they're supposed to be developing personally, and they end up developing with someone else. They end up wanting to develop individually, but find themselves joining themselves with someone else and learning unhealthy habits.
Yeah.
So we're going to unpack everything that we feel like God has been kind of letting us know about what it means to be in unhealthy relationships as we've been discussing this whole entire series of our relationship series. We are just going to be talking honestly about things that we know that we've all struggled with and how we can overcome and not do the same things over again. So let's get right into it. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about unhealthy relationship habits. Habits are things that are formed and developed over time. And many people who find themselves in relationships, they end up actually taking on and learning habits that they never really had coming into the relationship. And then they end up leaving the relationship with these unhealthy patterns and habits that someone else brought in. Sometimes you can be a victim of someone else's bad habits, or sometimes you can be the one who's actually causing these bad habits. But at any rate, both people are contributing in a negative way in a toxic relationship. So let's talk about the first unhealthy habit, and that would be thinking that someone can make you feel complete. So what do you think, and why do you think people need others to make them feel complete?
Good question. Yeah, I just feel like, every person has this desire inside of them to have them feel complete by someone. And ultimately, it is Jesus that is going to make you feel complete. But if you don't know that, then you look for other things and usually another person to fill that. So I feel like there's a desire there for that need to be filled. But a lot of times we don't know, or maybe we do know, and we look towards other things. So I feel like that can happen a lot in culture where, and we kind of live in a over sexualized and over romanticized culture with the movies and the songs and all the things, and everybody wants to be with somebody. Everybody wants love, kind of thing. So that, that, not that that's a bad thing, but a lot of the times people don't know that this person cannot fill them the way that they are wanting to be filled in that way. And that's a bad habit to keep, because a lot of times you're just going to go through the next person, wondering how come it doesn't feel like it's supposed to, or whatever this expectation is that you have. And it's because that person's not meant to fill that hole. It's Jesus who is meant to fill that hole. So yeah, I think that's one of the main habits, if you will, that a lot of us do. Some of us not knowing, a lot of people don't know that Jesus is the lover of their soul, that, he is the one who is supposed to fill them. And some people do know and they're running, but they're going to be caught soon. You can only run for so long.
That's right.
But yeah, that's what I have on that.
I would agree that Jesus, he is the only one who is what people are in need of, and they don't realize that's who they're looking for in another person.
Yeah.
And I know we've mentioned this before about how Jesus is the only one who can truly love you unconditionally, and it's, only by his grace that we are saved through faith in him. And once we come to this understanding and revelation of who he is, that he does love you and he is for you and he's not against you, then you can recognize that he is the one who defends you in a relationship. Now, I will say, if you are constantly in an unhealthy relationship where you find yourself constantly at odds with each other, there's something very wrong. And yes, Jesus can be your defender as you come to know him if you are still in an unhealthy relationship. But now it depends on if you're married or if you're in a dating relationship. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
But what I do want to make sure that is plain and understood is no matter what, at some point, you need to decide for yourself whether you want to be in this relationship that is unhealthy or not. Jesus, he loves you too much for you to be submitting yourself to someone who's not honoring you, who's
Mm-hmm.
not abiding in him. And I do believe, yes, as the word says, that as you are a person who believes in the Lord and you have a faithful walk with him, that you can, win over someone
Mm-hmm.
else with your gentle and quiet spirit as you serve the Lord. However, I do believe that there is a dangerous gray area where we can call something grace and forgiveness
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like miss the red flags and
Right.
just like skip and pass over things that you really shouldn't and that should be addressed. So,
Yeah, good point.
so if you are someone who is in an unhealthy relationship and you feel like you cannot live without this person that you're with, I want you to ask yourself, who am I? Who are you? When you look in the mirror, what do you see and who are you? I ask that question because it's important that you know who you are before you enter into any relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we're talking about a romantic relationship, you definitely want to make sure that you are fully understanding and aware of who you are, not as a person in the world, but as a person in the kingdom of God. If you don't know who you are in the kingdom of God, then you'll be walking around this world hoping that this person is going to be the king of your heart and
Mm-hmm.
or the queen of your heart if you're a guy.
Yeah.
And the answer to that question is I am a child of God. That's who I am. If you ask yourself, who are you? You are a child of God. And when you know who you belong to, that you're a child who belongs to your father, you will have a standard that is matching heaven. It matches what your father says about you in his word and how he feels about you in his heart. So
Mm-hmm.
that when someone else appears and walks or tries to walk into your life, you can say, no, I'm sorry. My father, his standards for me are better than the way that you're actually talking to me. So I'm going to have to say goodbye. Excuse me. Next, like, thank you
Yeah.
next. Right.
Yeah.
So I just want everyone to know that you got to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, you will submit yourself to
Mm-hmm.
who you are not.
Yeah, that's good. Because then those habits kind of go unnoticed because you think you found this person and like they're making you feel good and you're starting to like the things that they like and you think that your identity is now part of their identity because you guys are together. And then these unhealthy things, oh well, this is just how it is, or this is normal, this is how he is. But you're in love now, so love kind of blurs everything up together.
Yeah.
It makes everything in the pot, and now everything's confusing. But you guys are in love together, things are going on right. Those habits kind of just get pushed underneath the rug, and then and until you get to a point where you're fed up and you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? It's been so long, and it's kind of hard because before you never used to say anything about it, but now you do. So what's changed. This person's gonna be like, well, you've dealt with this for how long now? All of a sudden, you want to talk about it, whatever the case is. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's really good because, like you said, it all goes down to that. You don't know who you are. Get into a relationship looking for your identity, then you get with this person, not really know what you're getting yourself into. Bad habits come in, and it's a spiral, and it's a hot mess. But there is redemption with the Lord, and just being aware of what's going on and asking questions, and yeah.
Yeah. And just a side note to add to what you're saying, what I'm gathering as we're having this conversation is that we need to have clarity about who we are
Mm-hmm.
and have a clear understanding so you can have a clear vision for where you want to go. If you know who you are, then you'll know where you want to go and you'll know if you want to go with this person as well.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
So,
100%. Even in Christian dating worlds. Like, if you
For
know your
sure.
purpose, and this person has another purpose and they're a great guy or a great girl and all the things, but your purposes don't align, then you guys are probably not meant for each other, and
You'll
that's
be a
okay.
great friend.
Yeah, great friend.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
beautiful. But yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second
Okay.
while we're on the subject.
All right.
Because I just, as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, I think a lot of people in Christian circles in the world, dating is like a fun thing to do. Like it's like a hobby. It's almost like some kind of like activity to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Um,
yeah,
it's not that fun.
it's not fun if you really are dating with purpose.
Yeah, because a lot of people aren't dating with purpose, and that's where it's not fun.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a little food for thought right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll say this to anybody: if you're not ready, don't be out there. Okay, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
Listen, you know that you know that you know. You know yourself. You really know yourself. Okay, and if you don't know, ask the Lord, and He'll tell you.
Yes, He
Don't
will.
go out there because there's people who are.
There are people who are, and people's hearts are not meant to be played with. I'm
Right.
going to repeat that.
Yeah, please. Say it for the people in the back.
I'm going to say it for the people in the back. People's hearts are not to be played with.
Right.
If you, again, look yourself in the mirror, ask God Himself, who am I? Am I even ready? Where am I at? Mentally, spiritually, to be even entertaining the thought of being out there in the scene of dating and getting to know people and conversing with people who you know are serious, because when they're answering your questions and you're talking to them, you're chatting with them online, you hear their responses and you're like, I was just trying to talk to somebody who's cute, just for fun because I'm bored. This girl is over here talking about she wants this, that, and she's thinking about her vision and God's this and that. Whoa, maybe I'm not ready. If you're saying to yourself, maybe I'm not ready, you're not ready.
Yeah. Please
Let me help you
exit
out.
the chat.
Like,
Please.
do yourself a favor and them a favor,
Yeah.
and just take a step back. Take a step back.
Yeah. It's a good bonus for you.
Yeah. Just evaluate,
Yeah.
where you're at.
Yeah. It's always
So.
a good thing. Nobody's perfect. And if you're not ready, you're not ready. And listen, you're doing yourself a favor because you don't want to get into something that you ain't ready for.
You don't. And because even in Christian circles, we have a lot of strong women like you and I, and we are not here for games. We're not here to play around. And I'm going to let you know, I'm not here for fun and games in a nice way, but I don't have time for just grayness. I need to know what's up.
Right.
I am not going to waste time talking to you, chatting with you, spending time with you when I know that you're not being honest and upfront with me. Because I'm going to save the trouble and I'm going to let you know. I don't have time for that. I have so many other things that I could be doing. It's no offense to, no disrespect to you as a person, as God's son. I'm just know who I am, and this is where you're at.
Yeah, and you know what you want, and that's great.
Honesty is the best thing.
For sure.
You need to be honest.
Yeah.
With yourself
100%.
and with someone else. If you can't be honest with yourself, you're not going to be honest with this other person who you're texting or talking to. You're not. And if that person has a smart brain cell, they're going to realize, they're going to pick up on it. And they're going to say, something's off here.
Yeah.
Something called discernment will kick in from the Holy Spirit. And Holy Spirit will no.
Yeah.
And then you'll have wasted 3 weeks talking to this person. You can't get those 3 weeks back. You can't.
That's the part for me. It's So another unhealthy habit that some of us can have in relationships is thinking that this other person in the relationship can help your personal, or not really help, but make your personal issues go away. Like, having anxiety, or being sad or depressed or loneliness, things of that sort. A lot of the times we think that being with someone can make us feel happy, and that is true. Somebody can make you feel happy, but happiness is a temporary state of an emotion. And if that person does something wrong that you don't necessarily like, then all of a sudden you're back to feeling how you were before. So I think that's a big misconception that a lot of people have. If only I was with someone, all these issues would go away. And it's quite the opposite. A lot of your issues will be heightened because you haven't dealt with them, and now you're dealing with another person in a relationship, and that can magnify things, and even can bring out things that you didn't even know you had, besides the things that you do know that you struggle with. So I would just suggest to everyone, just, really seek the Lord about these things that you struggle with, and ask Him to heal you, and ask Him to help you figure these things out, because thinking that a person is going to help you, even in a friendship, even a close family member, like, these people cannot help these issues that you have. And you're not a problem, and you're not a mistake because you deal with these things. Everyone goes through different things in their life due to circumstances and different, it could be generational things, whatever it is. But, you're not, like, bad or something like that. Like, you're not unfixable because you deal with these things. It's just that you need the God who created you to help you with these things, not a person. Because honestly, that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody else, and they're not equipped to heal you and fix you like the Lord is. So yeah, I think that is a one unhealthy habit that a lot of people can have, but it's just really recognizing where you're at, and just being real with yourself, and be like, I do struggle with this, and I don't want to bring this into a relationship. If I want to have a healthy relationship with someone, and I want this to grow and to flourish into a beautiful marriage and have a great family and all these things, you want to make sure that you're healthy first, so that you and this other healthy person can come together and have this healthy relationship. Things won't be perfect, obviously, but they'll be a lot better than you coming in with all these issues, expecting this person to fix you up. All right, so another unhealthy habit in a relationship is the person coming in thinking that they can control the relationship or control the person. I feel like a lot of people can be very controlling and bossy and want things their way or the highway. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying this because I can definitely be like that sometimes.
Really?
And not her coming from me on live. On the live broadcast.
I know I can. I'm gonna call myself out.
No, this is why I wrote this one down. Because
okay.
I know no, it can be hard sometimes, and a lot of the times when the Lord has graced you with knowledge and wisdom, you can turn that around and be like, well, I know what's best. I know everything. Like, this has got to be this way because
wow.
I know, like, this is gonna work. But no, especially being on the female side, being a wife, being submitted to your husband, that is something I have definitely asked the Lord to help me with, because I don't want to be like leading this like marriage. Like, no, the man, this is God's order. God's order is that the man leads the relationship, leads the marriage, leads the family. And I'm not going to be, no, I'm not wearing the pants. I'm wearing me a nice, pretty dress, and he can wear the pants. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I think that, and it can go both ways. Guys can be controlling too, over controlling. I know a lot of people have seen that too. So just knowing that this person is a person, it's a human being. They're not a toy that you can just play around with, and a puppet that you can just say when to turn left and they'll turn left, and jump and they'll jump. Like, that's so disrespectful, and it's not honoring anyone. Yeah, so just realizing that if you do have that trait in you, so just like ask yourself, like, am I like this? Like, and if you don't know, like, ask the Lord, and like, can I be controlling? Can I be, like, super aggressive with things and wanting things my way, and he will show you. And if you're asking the question, then you probably already know, and the answer is probably yes, because a lot of us can be like that. But I think, just if you want a healthy relationship where things are balanced and you respect and you honor and love the other person, then it's definitely good to recognize this and work on this. And there's grace for everyone. And it's not, it's a good attribute to have, to be confident and to know things that the Lord has graced you to know and have wisdom about. But that's when if you turn it, the wrong way and thinking that you are the one who knows everything, then that's where it can be twisted and not so healthy.
Yeah, I like how you kind of twisted it a little bit about someone being controlling in a relationship. Because in my mind, I thought when I read this, I thought, well, someone just wants to make sure everything's their way, which is exactly what controlling means. But kind of the perspective you had was more so someone thinking that what they're thinking about of how to fix things and do things is the best way, and not giving room for someone else, the other person,
Right.
and their opinion or their perspective.
Right.
Controlling often can sometimes think like, well, this person just completely dictating the whole relationship, but it's can be a little bit more mental.
Mm-hmm.
There's a psychological aspect of
For
narcissism,
sure.
manipulation,
Mm-hmm.
and those are forms of control that are uniquely different and nuanced in
Right.
how they're executed onto another person to control them.
Yeah,
So-
for sure. That's a good explanation. Thanks for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. And I think another point that we have is being passive aggressive. I feel like that can also play into being controlling in a way and manipulative.
Yes.
Because by you being passive aggressive in a situation, it can make the other person feel like they are in the wrong, and then therefore you have control because you know how this person will react. And I'm just like, I'm saying this so well, it's because I used to be like that. And a lot of the times being passive aggressive can just mean that you're insecure about things and you want attention, and this person is not giving it to you the way that you need it, and they'll probably never will because they can't satisfy those needs that you're really looking for. But yeah, it's a lot of times stemmed from and rooted from insecurity and wanting attention in these areas. And that's when you can start to be passive and, oh, well, I'm fine and it's fine and whatever. But let's be real. Like, let's be honest. Let's be open. Let's communicate. Let's work through things. Let's just not push things under. And then all of a sudden you try to push more stuff under the rug and you can't fit anything else because it's so big, because you've done it this whole relationship. And now you've got a big mess, like we said earlier. So yeah, I think that can also play into that as well.
Yeah, I agree. Passive aggression is another form of control, again, in a very unique way. And I really like how you said it is a way of sort of playing up kind of like how you really feel without saying how you really feel.
Right.
And it never really sounds good. You just might as well just say how you feel.
Right.
I really like how you said it's about not knowing how to communicate your feelings and your thoughts.
For sure.
In an open and honest way. Mm-hmm. It's just trying to cover up and subliminally tell someone how you feel without really telling them how you feel.
Right.
And then expecting them to
decode
how you feel.
Right.
It doesn't
that's
work.
That's mind
people.
games, and that's not respecting and loving someone.
Right.
And you're not doing yourself any favor either, because you're not being heard. And you're going to put yourself in even more frustration because this person can't figure it out and you don't want to say anything because you feel self-righteous or whatever the case is. So it gets you really nowhere.
It does. Gets you nowhere. And nowhere is not a good place to be. So,
right.
So the next unhealthy habit that I have personally executed perfectly is ignoring red flags and enabling bad behavior. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Go there.
how do I even begin?
For real. That's a good question.
It's so layered and loaded.
Honestly, that could be a whole episode.
It really should be.
Yeah.
We should consider that. If you want us to make an episode about ignoring red flags and enabling bad behavior, please let us know. Message us, comments, whatever you need to do, you guys, please, because I'm feeling that.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to be all over that. I think a lot of people can relate, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
It's something we have all done if we've all been in unhealthy relationships.
Right.
Usually people get involved with someone because they ignore red flags in the beginning. And then it continues on when they get together and they're in love. And then the red flags just keep adding and adding up. And before you know it, your whole lawn is filled with red flags. Just all over.
Now it's normal, though.
Now it's normal. And ignoring them is basically like saying, you know, I know that this is wrong, but I'm still okay with it. Because I love you.
Right.
And love is more than a feeling. It's more than a sensation you feel inside. It's a decision you make to choose to say yes to this person and commit yourself to being with this person for, if you're married, forever. If you're in a dating relationship until you get, you know, I mean, you really shouldn't even be like that. Like, you can make the commitment that yes, you're choosing to be with this person for, you know, to get married and all that stuff. And but while you're dating them, like, you need to be careful and guard your heart, because people can come and they can go.
Right.
And one day you could say, oh, I love Bobby, and the next day Bobby's like, I don't love you. And then you are like, but I don't understand. Like, I chose Bobby. I thought he chose me too.
Right.
You and Bobby were not married. You guys did not commit to really like being in a committed relationship. Yes, when you're dating someone, I'm deciding, you know, I'm choosing. I like you enough to like say, I don't want anyone else. I want to exclusively get to know you and all that. But at the end of the day, until you're like married to someone, if you're ignoring red flags and you're not married, sir, ma'am, you need to really like reevaluate how much do you value yourself.
100%. I'm glad you went there, because it's true. So as you were talking, that kind of came up in my head about like, you don't love yourself enough to feel like you deserve, you know, more than what you're in.
Stay right on there. You're on to something. Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah. No, because like after some time goes on, you're in this relationship and it's like, okay, well, I'm with Bobby and Bobby cussed me out every day, but he take out the trash though. You know, he got some good things about him. He, you know, he don't go out too much, you know, like, you know, he stole from me those 2 times, but you know, that was only them 2 times, you know. It's been a while since he did that, right? Like, I'm already with him, like, what do I look like going out finding somebody else? Like, we together, we living in this apartment, you know, like, things are expensive out here. I ain't going nowhere, Bobby fine. He been fine the past couple months. He been on his best behavior, you know. He's been doing the bare minimum, but that's his best. And honestly, who else am I going to be with? Who's going to love me at this point? I'm old. I got 3 kids. Ain't nobody going to want me. You know, I might as well just stay. I'm going to just stay. It's fine. I've lived like this for how long? It's okay. Love yourself, girl, or nobody will. Ooh.
Wow.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I got.
Wow.
And that goes back to your identity. Knowing your identity in Christ, because he's the one who tells you who you are and tells you how you should be loved. And he died on the cross for you, and that's how you know that you are worthy of something, because he cost his whole life for you, and that's how you know that you are loved.
Amen.
But if you don't know that, then you settle.
Yeah, you really do. How many people have that similar story and are living that out right now?
Yeah.
You made that up in your head, but those are real stories of people, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman. There are
Right.
men out there that are single that are settling for a controlling person
Mhm.
for the sake of love,
Mhm.
whatever that means.
Right.
And there are women out there who are settling for being in abusive relationships, verbally abusive relationships. Physical can be a very
Yeah.
dramatic way of living
Yeah.
and traumatic way of living. But
Right.
also, verbal abuse is just as traumatic and
100%.
horrible. And a lot of people are settling. And sometimes it doesn't have to be abusive, it could just be ignoring things that are really major roadblocks in your
Mhm.
life of you getting over habits that you already are trying to break.
Right.
And then when you add a toxic relationship on top of that, it can be challenging. Life can be extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And we go out there, we go to work, we put smiles on our faces.
Mhm.
How's the family doing? Great. How's your boyfriend? Oh my gosh, you guys have been together for 5 years now. Man. And he still hasn't proposed yet? No, he just said he's not ready to commit to marriage. Oh, how does that make you feel? We're just kind of going the flow. I mean, if we get married, great. If we don't, it's okay. I love him so much and
Mm.
we're both committed to being together. So, yeah. And then you think about it later and you think,
Mm.
well, why hasn't he proposed to me? Like, am I not worthy enough to be his wife? Is there something wrong with me? What did I do to him? What did I do in my past? Maybe it's my fault.
Mm.
Maybe I'm just going to be just like my mom or my parents.
Mm.
They never really loved each other. They didn't last.
Mhm.
Everyone else in my family broke up. What's the point of even getting married anyway? And that's how the enemy creeps in. He
Mhm.
sneaks in and he whispers these little things and he
Yeah.
says these little things that sound like the truth, because it is true that
Right.
you've had failed relationships in your past. You have seen people in your family not stay together. You have witnessed verbal and physical abuse in your family history. You
Yeah.
have all these things that you have experienced and they truly have happened. It was your reality at one point in your life,
Right.
but it doesn't have to be your reality right now. You get to choose what you want for yourself, what you
Right.
want for your life. You get
100%.
to decide. You don't have to be like everybody else. Whatever everyone else has gone through is their walk and their decision that they have made.
Mhm.
You don't have to be like everyone else. And that is a conviction I have in my heart personally. And I have walked through some of these things that we've mentioned just now
Mhm.
about being in abusive relationships. And we'll talk about that in another podcast episode.
Mhm.
And we'll discuss really the raw, realness of what has happened in our past.
Yeah.
But for now, as we're just kind of touching on it a little bit, I just want people to realize that you can't flourish in faith if you're faking your faith. You're faking how you are, what's really going on. Faith is not saying I'm just pretending like everything's okay and everything's just going to be fine.
Right.
Faith is saying like I know that this right now is like I hate what's going on right now. I really do. But
Mhm.
I'm going to choose to believe that there is better for me. I'm going to choose to believe that God has a better pathway for me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to choose to leave and move on if I'm supposed to, because I know that these red flags are indicators that I have red flags that I need to uncover and I need to like stop ignoring in my own life.
Mhm.
Because when you're ignoring red flags about somebody else, you're ignoring red flags about yourself.
Yeah, because that goes hand in hand with the enabling. Like you are still choosing to be with this person.
Right.
Therefore, you are choosing to have these red flags be done to you. The
Exactly.
bad, behavior, the talking, the this, that, and the other. You still get to choose like who you get to be with and what you allow to happen to you. At the end of the
Yes.
day.
Absolutely. We I will say for myself, I gave way too much power
Mm,
to other people. I gave them the power to make me feel a certain way. I gave them the power to make decisions that would affect me
mm,
for a very long time, and where I had to heal and go through therapy and go through self-evaluation of what happened. Like, how did I get here?
mhm.
How did I actually get here right
Yeah.
now? I had to go through those things because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to sit here and be on this podcast right now.
Mm,
And I wouldn't be able to offer hope to people through Jesus Christ if I didn't surrender my life to him. And that is always going to be something that we're going to talk about, is our faith in him is what helped us to overcome and to
right.
heal from the past. We decided we had to make a decision.
Yeah.
When you come to Christ and you decide in your heart that you are believing and deciding to follow him, it's a decision that will change the course of your life.
Yeah. It will change the course of your life. It will change you. You will be made new. Yeah, 100%.
So, our final unhealthy relationship habit is not forgiving the other person. I strongly believe that forgiving is literally the heart of God's love for us. Like, he sent his only son just to forgive us. So if he did that for us, why can't we do that for someone else? I know what they did was horrible. I know. I've been there, you guys. I just told you I went through abusive relationship, okay? It's hard out here. It's bad. I know it hurts. But I want you to know that releasing loving kindness and forgiveness to someone is the best decision you can ever make, so that you can move on and you don't end up in the very prison that they are in. Because what happens is when people are doing unhealthy things to others, they themselves are in a prison in their own lives, in their own minds, because they think that the only way for them to get through this life and get through this relationship and the way to love is to control someone else.
Mhm.
And that is a death-filled prison that I don't want to be in.
Yeah.
And unforgiveness, it literally breeds room for sin.
Yeah.
It creates room for sin in our lives.
Yeah.
Because when you don't forgive someone, you want to do bad things to them. You don't want the best for them. And what happens is you attract what you're withholding inside of you. So if you're withholding unforgiveness for someone else is going to withhold forgiveness from you.
Yeah. And that's like in the Bible, the Lord says, like, if you will not forgive others, I will not forgive you. Like, let someone else, like, you know, and I feel like you said something earlier and about, what I know, like, we know that that person did something really wrong and like what they did was not right. And I feel like a lot of times we have this misconception that if we forgive them, we are minimizing what they did to us, but that's not the truth. What they did was wrong and it was not right. And you didn't deserve that. But you're doing yourself a disservice by not forgiving them and not releasing them. Because all you're doing, that does nothing for them. Like, you're drinking poison yourself. Like, you are adding stress, you're adding bitterness, frustration when you think about the topic, hurt, pain. You are withholding all of those emotions. And when you hear this person's name, ooh, it hurts. When a situation comes up, when you drive by a place where you and that person used to hang out or something happened, like, all those things you are being affected by those things. So you are doing yourself a disservice by not forgiving them and releasing them. Yeah.
Yeah, it can make your heart sick. When you don't forgive someone, it makes your heart sick. So you can't love someone else fully 100% because you're still withholding forgiveness from your ex who did you wrong.
Yeah.
and then you're unfortunately not able to fully trust someone else because you didn't trust your ex.
Right. Exactly. The trust. You won't be able to trust anyone.
Yeah.
And then you'll be insecure about those situations as well. And here you
Right.
go again into another unhealthy relationship because of this thing.
And I want to encourage anyone out there to forgive yourself, because sometimes we can really imprison ourselves and
Hmm.
punish ourselves for what we should have known
Yeah. Or
better,
maybe we're the ones who have done
or we're the
wrong.
ones who really did that wrong thing and we are just still so ashamed of it.
Hmm.
And Jesus did not die so he could die again and again. Like it's
Right.
already
It's
done.
done.
Like
Amen.
he doesn't need to like keep dying every time you sin, and every time you feel like, oh my gosh, I was so wrong. Like he already forgave you. Stop it. Stop it. It's done. Like your forgiveness
It's
is
covered.
already sealed, right? Your sin has been canceled, and whatever you did was canceled by the blood of Jesus. And that's it. It's hard though, because it seems so simple. Like, oh, that's it. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't need to complicate it. Man always likes to complicate things
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
all the time. And also unforgiveness can make you rehearse what happened to you over and over again.
Yeah.
So
And
you're
that's
still living
dangerous.
in that moment in your head. It could be 2023, but you're still in 1993. You're still in 2003. You're still
Right.
in 2013.
And that causes victim
Right,
mentality. And
right.
yeah,
So
for
again,
sure.
forgiveness is so great. And
Amen.
just to kind of bring clarity again, what are really habits? Habits are things that you do that are built over time. Things that you do automatically, you don't have to think about. And we want you guys to flourish in faith. We want you guys to have healthy habits.
Yeah.
We ourselves are working on having healthy habits.
Right.
It only requires 1% increase a day. There's that book called Atomic Habits that I still need to finish reading.
It's so good. I'm listening to it right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm learning on building a habit of reading. So for the last month or so, maybe 2 months now, I have been building a habit of reading every single night before bed. So I have like honestly 4 books that I'm reading. I'm doing that on purpose because I'm a kind of person where I like to, okay, for example, we're going a lot off topic, but it's going to make sense because we're talking about habits here. So I like to like eat different things. I like to order like different things on the menu, as she knows, and we'll all share because I don't want to just sit there and have one thing. I want to try everybody's stuff. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to try one thing. I just like to try different things and have like options and stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, with reading, I'm kind of applying what I do with eating to like reading. So I like to read multiple different books. So I'm not going to try to read all in one night, but I'm going to do like 2 pages every single night. So by the time, it comes, maybe 3 months, I'm done with all the books.
That's awesome.
So I'm building a habit, and I'm a kind of person where I like to just kind of take information in and just kind of make notes. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard for me to just read one book and stick to it. I like to, get the variety. That's who I am. I like variety. Variety is the spice of life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an old saying. Anyway, okay, guys. So, scatterbrain is over. I want you guys to thrive in habits, and so do we. We want to thrive in habits too.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Let's do this together. Let's stop doing unhealthy relationship habits and let's start building habits that will be in healthy relationships, so that when you find your person, you'll recognize this is great. I can rock with this because they have habits and values that I enjoy and I have implemented in my life. And let's do this together. Let's have healthy habits together.
Yes.
Yay.
This is all about flourishing in faith, living life in abundance. And by having these healthy habits, we get to live life in abundance.
Yes.
Because we don't have to deal with on unhealthy things and things that are not good for us. And that's not God's love for you. You know,
No.
he has so much more for you.
So we love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out our next episode as we continue to flourish in faith. Bye.